I'm pretty sure, having sat through the trial, that you did not wake up that morning and say to yourself, I'm going to go kill somebody today, or I'm going to go and hook up with people who will murder someone. But you did go for an armed robbery. And what happens is that when you take a firearm and you rob somebody, you're telling the world, I'm going to take something that doesn't belong to me by force. And I've got deadly force. And I'm willing to use that deadly force and able to achieve my goals. And even if your intent at that moment was only to rob and not to kill, who can say that the death of the victim is not a predictable and foreseeable outcome of arming yourself and confronting the person? That's why we have the felony murder rule. You are a textbook case. During the trial, at one point, you lashed out at Robert Allen for being a snitch. I think your anger is misplaced. If you have any anger about what's happening here today and what will happen to you for the rest of your life, beyond the anger that you should have with yourself, perhaps your anger should be directed behind you at your co-defendants and the one who turned a robbery into a murder. They're the ones that you can thank for your predicament beyond your own actions. Trayvon Newsom, a jury of your peers having found you guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree with a firearm and robbery with a deadly weapon, a firearm. This court now sentences you on count 1 to life in Florida State Prison with a 10-year minimum mandatory and credit for 1,704 days already served. On count 2, I will sentence you to life in Florida State Prison with a 10-year minimum mandatory and credit for 1,704 days already served. The two sentences will run concurrent with each other. There are standard court costs, cost of prosecution, which can be reduced to a civil lien. You have 30 days to appeal. Mr. Williams, you are the perfect example of why we have a law of principles in this state. When you engage in criminal acts with others, you bear the responsibility for your collective actions. It was you who picked the target in this case. You went inside Riva Motorsports to confirm the identification and what was there, and then you went back out and sat in the vehicle. Now, while you may not have left the vehicle and you may not have brandished a firearm or fired the fatal shots, you are as guilty as they are, because you are an essential part of that crime. Without your actions, it would not have happened. Additionally, I don't look at the way someone behaves in court. Courts, for sentencing purposes, courts are stressful things. People react to stuff differently. But there are things that I can look at. And I can tell you this court is shocked by your behavior after the murder. A person who had any measure of human decency or remorse for killing someone would not likely be seen dancing around and filming themselves with the stolen money, how proud you were of yourself. You should understand that while you were dancing on that bed, throwing down those bills, you weren't throwing money down on the floor. You should think of that as you tossing down the days, weeks, and months of your life, just like that. Like so many pieces of paper. And the very next day, when you went to spend that blood money on sneakers and jerseys, You reveal to the court the value you place on the human life that was taken. Just a pair of sneakers to you. Diedrich Williams, a jury of your peers having found you guilty of murder in the first degree and robbery with a firearm as a principal. As to count one, this court will find you guilty, adjudicate you to be guilty, sentence you to life in Florida State Prison, with credit for 1,752 days already served. Count two, I sentence you to life in Florida State Prison, with credit for 1,752 days already served. Two counts will run concurrent with each other. There are standard court costs of prosecution. I'll reduce those to the lien. Both you and Mr. Newsom should understand that life sentences are necessarily life without possibility of parole because we do not have parole in Florida. Mr. Boatwright. You turned a robbery into a murder. And on that day, when you stood there and fired that weapon, you didn't just end one life. You effectively ended 5 lives, including your own. Like I just said, you need to understand that when we say life in Florida State Prison, that means life. It is necessarily without parole. Florida abolished parole. You know, as the song says, you can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. From here, you will go and be placed in a cell that has a stainless steel slab that's attached to the wall. That's your bed. And next to it is a stainless steel sink and a stainless steel toilet. That's the furniture that you have.